So Cambridge did a lot of enamel work, and the first appearance, I believe, in our decorative and dinnerware that's in the catalogs and references is on ebony in 1916. But we do need to keep in mind that Cambridge made a lot of other types of glass, like pharmaceutical ware, and they definitely used enamel sometimes on it. So we tend to be, in the Cambridge collectors, we tend to be very enamored with the glass, of course, that was decorative or dinnerware. But Cambridge made all kinds of utilitarian glass as well. And of course, they were in business during some pretty rough times of history of American history, especially the Great Depression. So in 1916, in the catalog is this ebony glass with the rose and leaves enamel decoration. It very typically is on vases. This is a basket. One way to distinguish it from a very similar enamel decoration done on Cambridge blanks by Lotus is that Cambridge put white enamel on the edges, whereas Lotus put gold. And that Lotus floral enamel decoration is also beautiful. And they put it on Cambridge blanks. So the glass is Cambridge, but the decoration was not done at the Cambridge factory. So that's the earliest reference that I'm aware of to enamel on the decorative ware. Then in 1922, 23, and 24, those 3 years, all of those beautiful opaque colors that a lot of collectors really like were introduced. The first one was azurite in 1922. And I'll give you an example here right off. This is one of the dancing ladies on a azurite cylinder base. Now, this enamel decoration is put into an etching. So it's like gold encrusting we talk about so much. So this is enamel encrusting. So this piece was etched just like rose point or any of the other etched ware that we talk about. And then the enamel was placed to fill in the etching. The ebony basket I showed earlier, that was freehand. It was, a painter that actually painted it. Now, both of these would have been labor intensive. To paint all those flowers on and the white band on the edge would have taken time and talent. But etching glass is a art form too, because you have to cover the item or wax that you don't want etched when you dip it in acid, and then you have to put in the enamel afterwards. I've got another example of azurite that was etched, and it's a perfume atomizer. This one, this etching is in the etching book, and it's filled in with black enamel. Often with the atomizers, we have tended to assume they were all done by de Vilbus, but that's not actually the case. Probably about half of them were done by Van Woot or Durande. And I believe this one is Van Woot, but I'm not positive about that. But it's a very attractive Cambridge etching. And instead of gold, of course, which we often talk about, they put in black enamel. Another example would be Primrose. That was introduced in 1923. This perfume atomizer, and this is Van Woot, Cambridge put on just black lines. And there's actually quite a bit of the Primrose that either has black lines or green lines that are freehand applied to the blanks. The Carrera is not a very common color, but there are pieces that have freehand enamel on them. I've got a large bowl that's got red enamel on that really pops against that white background. Another Helio is another one that you've got etchings. You got the dragons, you've got the peacocks. That is likewise jade. De Vilbus had the jade dragon perfume lamp. Maybe someone will show us one of those tonight. I've got one, but I'm showing so much other glass that I didn't bring it out. But ivory is the color that really there was a lot of enamel placed on ivory, and it's kind of an ideal color because it's light. So the decoration really stands out. So I've got different examples here. This one is the iris decoration. This candlestick really works out nice for that iris freehand decoration because it's on 3 different places on the candlestick: the base, this round knob in the middle, and then on the candle well as well. So again, a lot of work freehand painting those irises on the pieces. Very popular, I think, enamel decoration. Another one that's very, I think, maybe my favorite is this one. Larry, I think Susan likes this one too, right? I call it the mums, with the real thick mum decorations in 3 different colors. And again, this was done freehand. There's kind of a shading that's gone on top here, but just freehand decoration, floral decoration that's really beautiful. Probably the two most common, though, on ivory as far as freehand decorations are, I don't believe they have official names. I call this one Yellow Daisy. And the daisies, the enamel is very thick and stands out. So you've got texture to the decoration. And this decoration was placed on many different ivory blanks. Yet another one, and in my casual, I call this one White Daisy. This is another, it's got a matte finish and then white daisies placed on it. Kind of this flashing, that was the word I was looking for before, kind of a caramel flashing as well on both the white daisy and yellow daisy. Those aren't official names. And again, this is found on so many different ivory blanks. And the matte area can be blue as well as black. Almost always it's black. But likewise on ivory, as azurite and other colors, sometimes there was enamel incrustation. So there is gold on this as well on the edges, but there's enamel and multicolored enamels that are placed in this candlestick for the sitting basket decoration on this ivory candlestick. Oops, I don't like that sound, but everything's okay. Then these guys, the glass is ivory, but the owls and the monkeys, it's in enamel that's placed on top. Now, I would guess this maybe was spray painted. I don't know, but it doesn't have any brush strokes on it, but it's kind of got a misty area on the bottom that it might have been sprayed on as far as enamel on the ivory blank. So again, there's a lot of different enamel decorations on those opaques. When we move into the 1930s, though, that's when enamels became very prominent in the Cambridge line with different items. I know Mark Nye has said in the past that the enamels really helped Cambridge get through the Great Depression because it was a unique decoration, and of course money was tight in that era. In 1930, based on the catalog, Cambridge introduced their humidors, and they often are black. So I've got 3 of them here. I've just got the lids. I've got the bottoms, but the lids will suffice to show the decoration. So this is a line hen decoration that's placed on, and it's the bottom, the body of the humidor almost has a plaid look to it, but the lid is pretty interesting as well. So that's freehand. Then we've got another one that's got an etching, and this is a numbered etching in the etching book with red enamel placed inside it. Again, I think very striking piece with that very deco looking etching, and of course it becomes a decorate when you put the enamel in it. Again, the humidors were introduced in 1930, and based on the different etchings that pop up on it and the decorations, probably they weren't made for an extended period of time into the 1930s. They were certainly, or I believe they were certainly out of production by the 1940s. And then this guy tends to be pretty popular among collectors, the dragon. And for the humidor, generally it's a red dragon. And again, this is a decorate, but it's an etching based decorate. The what was etched, acid etched, was filled in with the enamel. The time period from about 1931 to 1933-34, so roughly a 3-year period of time, covered by one of the catalogs that we use heavily as a reference. And those pages are numbered by the year things were released. There was just a lot of enamel decorations. So I'm going to go through with the next opaque color before I step back in time. So Crown Tuscan was introduced in 1932. And then in the catalog in 1933, they start showing different pieces that are gold encrusted with the acid, the stamp, enamel stamp on the bottom. Well, the Crown Tuscan pieces that have enamel decorations also have that signature. So likely also from about that period, 1933, and it fits in that period of time when there was just a tremendous amount of enamel items being produced by Cambridge. So this is an 8.5-inch swan, obviously type 1 from the time period with the feather detail and enamel decoration. There's not a lot of these out there. So for a swan collector, they're incredible. And I think most swan collectors wish they would have done many more of them. As far as the enamel decorations, essentially a line decoration done by hand, there's black, there's green, and this 3 light candlestick has the green enamel on it. And again, it has that Crown Tuscan signature on the bottom, so probably likely that roughly 1933 period of time. And then actually my favorite among the colors on Crown Tuscan is the red. And I think the red really is just gorgeous on this Crown Tuscan. And again, it's got that same Crown Tuscan signature on the bottom. They did some nude stems, and they did a lot of vases with that line decoration on Crown Tuscan. Another area that they used enamel was on the swans in the satin finish, and then they put the coral red enamel with black on the feet. It's an enamel that's placed on them. These are not common. And this is the type 1, this is the 3-inch type 2 swan. They also have the type 1 swan in the 3-inch size with this decoration. And that change from type 1 to type 2 was done in what year? 1933. So again, it seems like right there in that period of time, roughly 1933, they were doing a lot of enamel work, and hoping that would perk up sales there during the Great Depression. Well, if we're going to talk enamel, I guess we have to talk about that stuff that some people like, called japonica, because it is enamel. Now, this was not freehand. I mean, this would have been a decorate plate that the decoration was taken from and then placed on. And it's white enamel. The lines around the edges, of course, would have been freehand. For many, many years, we thought that japonica was 1937, but now with circular letters, we know that it was definitely 1933, because a circular letter in 1933 says that the name was being changed to Hawthorne. And 1933, let's say, and that was January, so let's say japonica was introduced in about 1932. It turns out with events in the world between Japan and China, having anything with Japan on it wasn't maybe very popular with the American buying public. So I've read that perhaps people thought it was made in Japan with the name japonica. So it was a very short-lived production period. Obviously, it was labor-intensive to make. These darker transparent colors by Henry Helmers, came out roughly in 1931. So they were trying something new and different. A lot of us like it a lot. I don't know if we would like it quite as much if we didn't know the value among collectors today, because it brings a really high price. But it was very, very short-lived, probably just 1932 and 1933. Then moving on, there are a few variants of Japonica. This is one. Again, Japonica, I maybe should have mentioned when I had the ivy ball out, but it's satin on one side, and often the interior, usually the interior is satin finish, the exterior is not. This has got a grape white enamel decoration, and the process was probably identical to what was done with the decorate plate as with Japonica. So we've kind of coined the name Grapeonica for this. There's several pieces of this that have popped out. The thing that's different about this is it's satin on both sides, both the interior and the exterior. And again, the enamel, freehand around the edges. They would have done that on a wheel. They put it on a turntable and then had the brush to go around the edge. So those are the opaques we've gone over, and we've gone over the dark transparents. Then we're going to move into what Cambridge called sport novelties in 1931. So we're actually stepping back a bit in time. In 1931, Cambridge introduced quite a few different what they called sport novelties, and with different decorates on them. So I've got some examples. This one is the polo scene. It's kind of different with the white enamel for the polo players. These all had numbers, not names. This one, us collectors call it swayback Scotty. Often the Scotty is black. This one is green. So this cigarette box, it's green and white as far as the decoration that was placed on it. Another one that I think is quite popular because we have a lot of people that like their dogs is the Three Caney Scots. This decanter is large in size, and for some reason they made the Scotties really big on this piece. So this thing really stands out. And is gorgeous. Most usually, depending on the plank, the Scotties are going to be quite a bit smaller. Now, they had some fun ones, at least I consider fun. Who doesn't like flying tomatoes? So it's kind of silly, but I just think, so it's got a little face on them, if you can see there, and the leaves are like wings, so it's like little tomato angels, I guess. And they also have flying oranges. I believe in the decorate book, there's flying lemons too, but I've never seen or heard of that. So just because they had potentially had the decorate plate doesn't mean it was used, but they probably tried it at any rate. But so I think these are cool. Flying tomatoes and flying oranges. Who would have thought of that? And then there's many others. So I'm assuming we're going to see some examples here tonight. There's Reveille, there's the Pelicans. Here's Looking at You. There's the George Washington. So again, quite a few different ones. My favorite, without a doubt, however, is this one. And it's most of us collectors through time have called it Lady in Bubbles. If you go to the Miami Valley website, they've called it Sea Nymph, but most of us refer to this as just Lady in Bubbles. This is a cocktail mixer. This is my favorite enamel decorate, no question. It fits I have a lot of nudes in my collection, so this really fits. And I've got 7 different pieces of it. So I'm really thrilled that I've been able over 35 years to pick up those pieces, because there's just not much of it out there. Then the last thing, we have to talk about enamels. We have to talk about the 1932 when they came out with Varsity Sport. So when Rick Jones was convention chair a number of years ago, he definitely wanted varsity sport as one of the programs. So you could go to the Miami Valley website, I guess now NCC website, and look at that program if you're interested, because I've got quite a bit of it because I've been collecting it for an awful lot of years. So I'll just show a few pieces here and then we'll move on to see what you've got. So this decanter is Harvard, and man, this is a hard one to find. The Harvard, I got lucky and got a decanter and 4 tumblers. It's a very hard decoration to find. So which ones are most common of these varsity sports? There's just no question. Yale is by far and away the most common. And it's pretty because it's white and blue. It's very beautiful. So I'm just guessing that there must have been a bookstore or a department store that stocked Yale merchandise. Second one would be Dartmouth. So if you're going to find varsity sports, these sports team enamel decorations, it's most likely to be one of those two. Now, some of you that are a little long in the tooth like me would recall Judy Bennett. And Judy Bennett had her shop there in Cambridge, across the street from the Bennett Museum. And she knew I liked this. And bless her heart, whenever she came across unusual varsity sports, she would save it for me. So I've got a few other examples. This is the Stanford Cardinals. And of course, it's bizarre with the Stanford Cardinals, isn't it? Because their mascot is a tree. And a lot of us say a Christmas tree. It's not really a Christmas tree. It's just a tree. So the Cardinals say, where's the bird? Well, there is no bird. Cardinal is the color. And their mascot is a tree. So as far as sports mascots, they tend to either be on the top of the list or the bottom of the list, because it's to be out there as a human with a costume on as a tree is probably a bit unusual. Some others that I think are really cool have animals rather than a tree. This one is the colors are just so striking. So that is the Pitt Panthers, and you can see the panther on there very brightly. I wish I had an assistant here. And this one is the California Bears. So there's a bear coming out right in the middle of the sea on that one. And then the last one is, and this is another one I think is pretty striking, is the Princeton Tigers. And we got a nice bright tiger there right in the middle. So I apologize, Jack and others, a little bit long. But these are the pieces I thought might be good to get the discussion rolling. So I don't know if there's any questions, but.
Great, thank you so much, Les. I don't know if anybody has any questions before we get started.
I do. Hey, Les, Gene Henn talked at convention, and we have a transcript of his speech. There should be one more school, and that's the University of Chicago. He talked specifically about that one. And he said he would go to the colleges, and for $100, the college could have Cambridge make the decorate, and then the college would control what was made. So it all came into the bookstores.
You know, that's funny, Larry, because it's exactly what I had always kind of envisioned happened. They approached the bookstores. There's some that I do have one piece that I was glad to add to the collection, the Wisconsin Badgers. Now, being a Minnesota Gopher, a Wisconsin Badger is nothing that I'm too excited to have in my home. But it's there. And Ohio State, I've got a ball jug, and there's been very few pieces of Ohio State that have ever surfaced. So these ones where there's only, a handful that have ever popped up, Larry, wouldn't you assume that they were maybe samples that they tried to encourage those bookstores to come aboard, but it maybe didn't happen? Whereas Yale and Dartmouth must have, we'll sell that stuff. So great. Thank you, Larry.
Les, I just had a question. It just dawned on me when you were showing the Stanford tumbler. Their official name is the Stanford Cardinal with no S at the end. But I think on the tumbler, it actually says cardinals plural.
Did it really? Can't find it. Where'd I put it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, but David, I knew this was going to come up, so I went on Wikipedia. And it is the color. So it's the color of cardinal. So it's the Cardinals team, but it's because they wear the cardinal color.
Okay.
It's not the bird. There's no association whatsoever with the
Right,
bird.
right. But
So I mean, they call them the Cardinals. So why aren't they the Stanford trees? Well, they probably didn't want that. So it's the Cardinals.
I have a question. This is all new to me as far as the enamels. You happen to mention a catalog. What's the catalog where you saw?
Yeah, it's the 1930s catalog that's published by NCC.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
They have the original statue, the bronze statue of the lady in the bubble at Crystal Bridges in Bentonville. Alice Walton owned it. So
How do they know it's her?
Well, I mean, have you ever seen it?
No. Sounds like I need to go.
It's a huge life size, bigger than life size, female bronze with a light, a round light. And it was made, I don't know, about the same time as what Cambridge did, but I'll send you a picture.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
And,
Yeah, that'd be great.
and it's a big piece in the collection. So anyway.
Yeah, well, Cambridge, you might almost think they weren't very original in their thinking because they were the best copiers in the business. Somebody else would develop something and hey, let's make that. So thank you.
Hey, Les,
Yeah, Jim.
the trees at Stanford's located in Palo Alto, which is tall tree in Spanish. So that's where the trees are coming from.
Ah, good to know. Wikipedia didn't say that. You need to go in, Jim, and add that because they didn't point that out. Wonderful. Makes sense.
Anybody else have any questions or
do,
comments or anything?
I got
Mike,
one.
you had something earlier, yeah.
Okay, I guess I got my microphone on. First, I wanted to say, Les, your pieces are just stunning. I mean, I've been collecting a lot of years, and it's rare that I see some of the things that you saw. Those are great. Now, I did have a question on I guess they're decorates, like the flying orange and the flying tomato. Those are those enamel or no?
They're enamel.
How did they do that?
Well, it's just like all the rest of them, like the 3 Caney Scots or the Swayback Scotty, all of them. They're from a decorate plate, which is essentially, like Larry can help me on this, but the reverse of a etching plate. And so, it wasn't freehand by any means that they could come out identical. So it was applied based on the decoration that was on a plate.
Okay. I guess I don't understand the process. How'd they get that thing to wrap around something?
Yeah, well, again, you know how the etching works with an etching plate?
Yes.
Yeah, so this would be kind of reverse. And as far as how they filled in the multicolors, I don't really know. That's the complicating factor, that they were able to put in those multiple colors on the plate.
Okay, so this is kind of a mystery process.
Well, probably not. There's somebody that probably knows a lot more than I do about it, but I'm not the person. So topic for another Zoom and Tell.
I don't know. I'd invest in you.
Oh, could I ask a question about where at Crystal Bridges is that statue located?
It's in the second, well, it was in the second pod, right after, you go into the 1800s and then you go into the next pod. It was, and it was kind of, it used to be, they're doing a lot of construction because they're doubling it.
Oh, yes.
It used to be.
My daughter lives in Wally World, not far from there.
Okay. So it used to be in the second pod you went in,
Okay.
and it was kind of in the center of the floor. And they recently did a display where they did a gallery wall where they, instead of having individual paintings, they did like one up the wall, and it was in front of that. Now, they, with the construction, they may have moved it, but that's where it was.
Was excuse me, was the ink applied, you say in reverse, is the dyes that they made, were they like an embossed dye?
I'm not an expert on the Larry, do you know more? How they did it?
Well, did they sculpt the figure out of the plate itself? Did they scoop the plate out and then the ink's applied into the void?
Well, it was just like a transfer, as far as I know. It was just a transfer.
Okay, you said the opposite of the etching plates.
Mhm.
The etching plates, the design is on the surface of the plate.
Yeah, but it's
Okay.
etched inward.
Right. So the opposite of that would be the design element would be etched into the plate.
Yeah, well, there's no etching, it's just applied, and there's no acid involved.
Well, no. But with the ink is what's applied, isn't it?
Yeah.
The ink has to have something to put the ink down in and then scrape the surface off. And so the ink is still down in with that image. So the girl, when she transferred it on transfer paper, I don't know for sure, but wouldn't that image still be on the transfer paper?
Yeah, it would be on the paper and then transferred to the blank.
Right.
And then the plate would have to be cleaned off for the next item.
Right. So it's just like an etching plate, except like you said, reversed.
Yes, yeah.
Right.
So the design element is sculpted or etched with the design down in the plate.
Yeah.
I used to be an engraver. So I do embossing and foil stamping dies where we sculpted the plates in inside out and backwards type. So it embossed when you press the paper down into the plate and pulled it out, it had the design element embossed.
Mhm. Okay.
So
Yeah.
it's kind of like that, what you're talking about, I think.
Yeah. Thank you, Gary.
Anybody else have any questions or anything for Les? Okay, great. Thank you, Les. That was just fantastic. I can reiterate that. Okay, well, let's get on to what people have to show here. Jim and Janice Miller, if you would like to start, and then we'll put Gwinnell on next. Jim and Janice, are you there?
Had to unmute.
There we go.
Sorry about
Oh,
that.
there we go.
Not much on deck time there.
So, I collect apple blossom, and some pieces have some added color. So I suspect it is enamel. So this is, see if I can get it.
I don't see the big image on the screen. Can you?
Just wait a minute.
Yeah, we can see the emblem anyway.
Okay.
So there.
Okay, we go up with
Yeah, that
that.
will work.
Okay, you can see that? All right.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. All right. I am seeing it. So I have several pieces of this, and it's on green glass, and the decoration is blue and red with gold. Kind of bizarre. When I first saw it, I thought, oh, somebody's having fun and added a little color. But I found other pieces of it, and I think it is actually something that Cambridge did. This is a cake plate, and I've got a big bowl and some candlesticks also. So can you see that?
We sure can. And
You can?
Yes, and boy, I just have never noticed that before. But if you guys are looking for apple blossom, so you're gonna notice it. But boy, I think that's incredible.
Okay.
Janice,
Yes.
Yes.
is the decoration on the top or bottom?
I think it's actually on the top.
It's all on.
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah, on the etching.
okay.
Yes, it's here.
But
And it
it's,
looks a little bit modeled, but
okay.
yeah, isn't that weird? On
And
the
so
green
it could
glass.
it could wear off as you would use it, I would think, but I don't know.
Probably, yeah.
Yes.
Well,
Yes.
the gold will too, but
Yes.
it fits the time period. They were certainly making those in the early 30s.
Okay, so I have 4 of these beauties. And these are green glass also with the
Hold
gold.
that little farther back if you could,
A little
Janice.
further, okay.
Yeah, a little farther back. There you go. That's
How about
perfect.
that? Okay. Yes, so I have 4 of them and they're just so dainty and pretty. But the same decoration, the blue and the red. On the green glass is kind of bizarre. And here's another one. And I don't know whether you can see this, but this is on the pink glass. And it is green and blue with the gold. Let me see if I can bring it up a little bit closer. I don't know whether you can see the decoration. How's that?
It gets a little blurry when you
Is
get
it?
it up closer. Yeah, for some reason, it's not focused.
tell
That's
me.
fine.
Tell me what's better.
You're okay. You're okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
with the gold. So, and it's
Janice,
on top.
can I ask did you find those pieces in California?
No,
No,
no.
Okay.
I found, well, actually, this was at the show, the glass show, Cambridge show. And I think,
the stems were.
yeah, the stems, yes, these I think I got at the show.
A few years ago.
Yeah. Yes, but I had 3 and then I found another one, so I have 4.
Just a couple more here.
Yeah, a couple more. So this, you were talking about the color going into the etching. Well, this color is on really the back side of this plate, and it's black, and it's all in the etching. And it has silver on the edge. It's about a 10.5-inch plate. I've got several of those. And of course, bowls. I have big bowls with these. So and this one has gold. And I don't know whether this is going to show up, but it has gold and black. It's quite beautiful, but the black is into the etching, and so is the gold.
I think there's more of that out there. Yeah.
Yeah, you've seen that before?
Yeah.
Yes, yes, but I think it's enamel. I don't know. You
Very
tell me.
definitely. Very definitely. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, so
Okay.
that's it.
That's it from California.
Well, thank you very much. That was beautiful. One of the things I thought was interesting, when the red enamel is a lot heavier, but the blue, when they put that blue in the medallion, it's almost like it's translucent a little bit.
Mhm.
Like it's a real thin painting that they did the blue part on. Yeah. So
Okay.
that's just gorgeous stuff. So,
Okay. We're gonna mute us up. We're done.
okay. Well, thank you very much.
Be well.
So next we will have Gwinnell, and after that, if we could have Linda Roberts and Barb on deck.
Good evening, everyone. I think I showed this before. It's not a Cambridge enamel, but it's enamel and silver on Caprice. And what's interesting about the Caprice is that the mayonnaise bowl is oval. It's not round like all the others are. So it's been altered. But it's got the same pattern on the bowl, and it is on the inside and on the top side of the liner. But that's what I've got. Not sure who did it. It is similar to some with Lotus, but I've seen similar with other companies as well. But that's all I've got for enamel.
Thank you, Gwinnell. That's beautiful. Was the enamel, what color enamel was that?
It's kind of a gray blue.
A gray blue. Oh. Wow, it's beautiful. Uh-huh. Oh. Interesting. I've never seen anything like that before.
Well, Freeman found it.
Did he? All right. Well, thank you so much. Okay.
Share.
So next we have Linda, and how about after that, if Mike Strebler on deck?
Thanks. I hope this will show. This is Helio, and it's Rockwell silver overlay, but in the body of the parrot is almost an olive-ish enamel. So I'm assuming the whole treatment is Rockwell, but if someone knows, trying to figure out what you guys can see, there's a lot of really nice other silver overlay on this. And this is a 12-inch Helio cylinder or column base. I know, again, we're on the lanai, so you can't, probably the color's not registering, but you can get a sense. And so by the wings towards the tail feathers, that's where you see the enamel. In real daylight, it's lovely.
Well, since Rockwell did the silver, I would imagine they probably did the enameling too, wouldn't they?
That's my assumption.
Yeah.
Then this is special. This is I'm going to back up a little bit. So you can see it's the covered candy. And the treatment or the enamel basket is both on the lid and on the base. And I have never seen this for sale other than this one that I got. So this one's a keeper in my collection. It's on ivory, and we all know the basket etch. So if you got questions, let me know. But
Linda, I'm drooling.
yeah. Well, yes. I'm sorry. Maybe if you're real nice, I'll put you in my will. But that's what I have. I apologize. Like I said, we're just kind of sitting here. This is Barb's annual trip to Florida, and usually it's in the nice weather, but now we're in stinky Florida. It's about 87 degrees at 8:45. So, but it's great to see you.
Thank you very much. We appreciate you participating. It's good to see you guys tonight. That candy, I don't know that I've seen that.
It's in I think it's in one of the Welker books early. I found it and I know the etch is right.
Probably it would be maybe in the 27 catalog. I don't know. Or maybe it's the 21
I think
catalog.
it's in one of his green or blue or tan covered books. I found it somewhere, but yeah, it is not common.
It's in the 1920s catalog. It's plainware.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
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 Right.
It has a place of honor. So,
thank you very much. Okay, well, next up we have Mike Strebler, and how about if we have Mary and Jeff on deck then?
Well, thank you, Jack. Jack called me up and told me I needed to bring some enamel things, and I told him that I didn't collect enamels, and he proceeded to tell me that I do. So I took the cart around and found what I could find. And I've got a couple pieces that are kind of interesting. I'll start with, this is willow etch that's blue enamel filled. And there's actually quite a bit around there. We collect this, and I guess I didn't consider it to be an enamel, but I guess it is. And then the same piece in that line, which I brought because Lisa collects demis. And this is a willow etch with blue enamel filled demi. So we were kind of happy to find that. And like I say, we have quite a bit of this. I don't know how I got started in it, but we have a lot of that. And then here's another etch. This is Rosalie. That's green enamel filled. Now I have also seen, I just showed you the willow etch blue enamel filled. I've also seen the willow etch with this green enamel in it too. So that's out there. And let's see. Okay, Lisa's passing me something here. This is Rosalie with blue enamel. There's actually quite a bit of Rosalie with this in it. And Jim and Janice, when I saw your colored apple blossoms, I've seen a couple of those pieces around. And I think you probably bought every single one that I've seen. Because they're just, I looked at them and I thought, boy, are those cool. Okay, and then you already showed this one. This is the black apple blossom with the black enamel. And I know you showed it, but since Jack made me go find all this stuff, I'm going to show it. I want credit.
We'll take it off your hands if you want.
Yeah. Here's an ivory plate. This is just, I think this is a bread and butter maybe. And it's, again, willow etch, blue enamel filled. But we only collect the willow etch if it's got the gold trim on it. There's a lot of pieces out there that are enamel filled, but they don't have the gold trim. So we even narrowed it down to that. That didn't help much with our cabinets, but we tried. And this one, I don't know, Les. Do you know about this one?
Yes, I have a piece of that, and it's not common at all. They also have green background.
So what is this thing?
It's a plate.
Well, I got that part. I'm on the blue because it's the Huntsine etch, and it's gold encrusted. And is it enamel on the back? Is that what that is?
It almost seems like, I agree with you, Mike, and I know where you're coming from. It almost seems like a stain, but it's enamel almost certainly.
It's an enamel?
Enamel stain, yeah.
Okay. So, and there's a few of these out there. This is just, like I say, this is a bread and butter, and there's dinner plates. Okay, that's it. Lisa said that's it from that side. I'll show this because I want credit, but this must be very common, huh, Les?
That's mine.
Does everybody have one of these, Les?
Yeah.
That's only the second one I've seen. You got one too, Larry?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not.
Okay, so this is the very common. That's but anyway.
I love that.
Lisa said, this is Lisa, she says. I know we've seen Japonica, but I brought this one because this one, I don't know how many, this may be a singleton. I haven't seen this vase with in royal blue with Japonica, so I thought I'd bring that. It had some kind of story that went with it. Somebody in Cambridge, it was made for them in the factory, and quite a story went with it, but my memory's not that good. But I like the vase. Lisa says that's hers too. And then this is kind of cool. We're Pilsner collectors. I think we're the only Pilsner collectors. People have singletons, but we managed to put a collection together. And this is interesting. It's got enamel, and then there's a band that looks like it's platinum, something like that. Does that show up, Les? You got any comments on that treatment?
No, it's probably platinum. Yeah.
And there's the bottom of it. But I thought that one was pretty cool. And then we got bubbles. This is, let me see if I can get it in there. That's another Cambridge Pilsner. And it's got orange bubbles, and some of the bubbles have kind of a platinum looking finish in them.
And it's optic.
This particular Pilsner's optic. And they've all got this foot, this Cambridge arched foot. And, this one was funny. This is my last piece I'm showing, so I'll be off in a minute here. You don't have to turn off your channel yet there, Lyle. I saw this in an antique mall, and I looked at it, and it said check. And I knew it wasn't Jeff and Mary reserving it. And I just looked at it and I said, that's the strangest thing I've ever seen. And I went home and thought about it. And then I decided that indeed it was, the foot was right, this ball, the shape. So I went back and bought the thing. And I couldn't drive fast enough once I convinced myself that it was actually Cambridge. But this is a pretty strange one. I don't know that I've seen it again. I think I've seen it in a kind of a gold colored enamel. But that's it.
It's in the decorate book, Mike.
Is it?
Boy, it surfaces very solid. I've got a decanter with the red bubbles, but it's very seldom that one surfaces.
Les, does yours have the platinum in the bubbles too?
No, just red bubbles.
Just red bubbles?
But it's the same exact design. Yeah.
So they even did variations on how they did it. Cool. All right, Jack, I'm done.
And you didn't think you had anything to show tonight.
Well, I didn't know. I would like to make one comment that a lot of the big collections like Tally Ho, 3400, all the rock crystal cuttings, I've never seen any enamels on any of those. I mean, it's just kind of interesting that they didn't put them on a lot of the real big lines.
But Mike, you've done so much work on the cuttings. The 30s wasn't the premium time for the cuttings, was it? Wasn't it earlier and later than that they did a lot of the cuttings?
Yeah, I think 40s were some, but actually I'm real fond of the stuff into the 50s. And they were doing.
We'll talk about this more at our program coming up this fall, but the actual explosion of polished cuttings on crystal happened in the late 30s is when that started. In fact, between 1937 and 1940 was an incredible amount of cuttings that were introduced, just seeing what they could sell and what they could do. A lot of them were only made for a really short time, and others were very popular. So, but anyway.
And surprisingly, there's hardly any documentation of enamel by Cambridge after about 1934. So consumer taste probably changed.
Mike, they did
Yes,
actually make enamel on Tally Ho. And the way I know that is there's a piece on eBay that is enameled.
Is?
The Tally Ho, there's a Tally Ho piece on eBay right now for $89.
I'll have to look at it.
And it's got a little coaster, and then it's got like orange enamel around the edge of it. And it's on eBay.
They did the enamel on both the Tally Ho, the pressed line, and also some on the blown stemware line too. And then they did some on the plates. And I think, as you're referring to, they did on the coasters. So where they did the red enamel. So it's on the Tally Ho line.
I'll take a look because like I said, I've been collecting for a number of years and I just don't recall seeing much of it. You know,
I think you did, and you probably didn't realize that it was enamel because.
okay. Then we got Greg down there, Mythbuster.
Okay, well, thanks so much. That was awesome. All righty. We have next, we have Mary and Jeff. And then how about if we put David Ray on deck? So Mary and Jeff, are you there? You need to unmute. Thought they were there. They were there earlier. Well, I don't see them on the list anymore. Maybe something happened with them. Okay, we'll come back if they resurface again. I know they were there on at the very beginning. Okay, so I don't know, David, if you're ready, and then how about if we put Larry Everett on deck? So David?
Thank you, Jack. I am ready this evening. I've kind of divided my glass between the opaques and the crystal, so we'll kind of go in that order. I think some of the most beautiful glass Cambridge made was the early ebony with the hand-painted roses. I think that was around 1915. Just to think that this is all freehand, the shading in the flowers, it just with the orange and the pink flowers, it's all hand painted enamel, which you can feel it as you run your finger across it. It's raised slightly, but it's just great. You got the trim up here at the top, and usually there's a polished pontil on the bottom. So this was very early black glass that Cambridge made. So the nice thing about this stuff, even though it is hard to find, when you're out shopping around, most general line dealers do not know it's Cambridge. This is a piece you can sneak up on, and over the years, I was lucky enough to find a large basket in the wild, plus a similar vase where the sides were perfectly straight for little money out in shops, because they just simply, it's so unusual, I guess, they had no idea that it was actually Cambridge, and it certainly doesn't always look just like Cambridge glass normally does. Everyone has the popular vase, the dancing girl, but this is a different plate etching from the ebony ones that were shown earlier. This is the Nanking green enamel, and there's a lady here with a long dress, and she's holding something in her hand. I'm not exactly sure what that is, a little basket or something, but it's got the green enamel on the foot, and you've got kind of a Betty border up here where the etching has been filled in green as well. I think there were 3 or 4 different dancing girls, and some of the cocktail shakers and larger pieces will have multiple shapes of the girls on them in various styles and poses. But this is kind of a fun piece. I just think it's the green and the black is just as good, but on the azurite, it just pops and makes a wonderful piece. The story goes that our member number 3 of NCC, John Wolfe, his aunt was a decorator at the Cambridge Glass Company back in the 1920s, and his aunt was responsible for painting the blue iris decoration. Les showed an amazing pair of candlesticks, and there are vases and other items out there, but I was lucky enough to buy this from John Wolfe. The feet are green enamel. There's black trim around the top of the candy, fairly plain on the bottom, but then it gets a little better on the lid. So you got the beautiful roses with black trim and green enamel on the knob here. Quite an attractive piece. You can't go wrong with hand-painted iris. Then we move into the 1930s. And as Les was saying, a simple piece like this, the graduates, there's not a lot of enamel here, but you can see in the lines, they put a little bit of white enamel in there just to make sure that the numbers and the graduate showed up a little bit more easily. This one is marked with the triangle C, if I can find it. in it right there, and it too has some enamel in it. I have found these with blue enamel in them as well. So they're pretty cool to find. I have a few of those, not many. We've seen the 3 candy Scots. This is a tally-ho goblet or stein of some kind. You've got the red enamel trim, you've got the dogs sitting here, and then on the opposite side, there's just one image of the dogs. The back side is just the red lines going around. I like the tumblers. I think the tumblers are great, that you get a variety of those, the sports. I think I've got the Yale and the Stanford, but this is a polo. Les had one with white enamel and red, I believe. This is the black enamel of the polo players and the yellow trim. And I was lucky enough to find a decanter while visiting Steve and Helen Klemko in South Carolina many years ago that is exactly this decoration. So these go great together. We haven't seen any of the skier etch this evening. And this is probably one of the more common decorates, especially in the tumblers. This is a decanter where the stopper is satin, and strangely on the bottom, I just noticed this, there's a number 9. I don't know why there's a number 9 on the bottom, but there's green enamel trim around the 3400 design on the stopper, and then around the decanter, the satin part representing snow. You've got in color, the skiers come in black or in the red and the blue. So depending on the piece, sometimes it's more common, like the tumblers. You can find the tumblers, they're almost always in the blue and red skier, or like the ice bucket, it's almost in the black and white skier. And I can remember a few years ago, an ice bucket came up with the red and blue skier on it, and it went for a premium price. It was quite a nice piece. And then you have, it's hard to see, but there's little green pine trees sandwiched in there in between the images of the skier. The last piece is a piece that I almost did not purchase. And of course, today you would say, what were you thinking? But it's not a Cambridge decorate. At least I didn't think it was a Cambridge decorate. I've seen 2 of these. This one has the tally-ho lid with no enamel decoration. Probably 20 years ago, one of these showed up on eBay, and it had some images in enamel on the lid as well. And this, Cambridge called this a pretzel jar. And sure enough, there's a large pretzel. Then you've got some gentlemen having a good time in the big city. You've got 3 gentlemen, looks like they're in a pub somewhere, having a good time in a pub. And then a similar scene over here. This came out of a collection out of New York. And when I saw it, I'm like, well, that's not Cambridge, but in hindsight, it's just an absolutely fantastic example of Cambridge glass, but probably decorated by a third party. Well, Jack, that's all I have this evening. Thank you.
Well, thank you, David. I forgot about that pretzel jar that you had. That's pretty spectacular. Was that a long time ago that you
I would
passed
say I've
that?
had that for at least 15 years.
Okay. That's really something. So, all righty. Well, thank you very much. Did Mary and Jeff show up? I don't think that they have seen them. They must not have come back. So, okay. So next we're going to go to Larry, and then let's have Tim Kroos on deck. So Larry, take it away.
Thank you, Jack. I guess it's tradition that we have to start out with the hand-painted rose on ebony. This is a community candlestick. The thing I really like about this is the really small roses with the white enamel trim around the top. Next, we have a Carrera candlestick with black enamel decoration on it. I don't think that the decoration on this is Cambridge. The jury's still out on that. Switch it up a little bit. This is a 3 candy Scots, double old fashioned. It's kind of unusual, at least I think so, in the green enamel with the 3 candy Scots. You don't see those very often. So they're are other colors out there you can watch out for. I don't quite know the story on this, but it is a nice enamel decoration. It was an atomizer and then I whacked the top off. No, I'm kidding. So, but the top is whacked off. So I guess it's a violet vase or whatever a dealer would tell you it is. But I'm sure it had the top at one time, but now it's been ground off. But I couldn't resist the azurite with the enamel. So
That's a Van Woot piece, Larry.
yes, yes. And lastly, I figured somebody'd show this before. It's a swan, of course, with the pearl mist decoration, which comes in several different pieces, but we finally were able to find one on the swan. So I think that's all I have, Jack.
Now that's Charlton decoration, not Cambridge.
Right.
Well, thank you, Larry. That was beautiful. The Carrera, why would you think that that might not be Cambridge decoration on the Carrera stick?
I really haven't looked yet, but I don't think it's in the decorates book.
Okay.
So I just got that piece and I've been working on some other things, so I haven't looked it up.
Hey,
Okay.
Larry, is that an etching that's been filled in with black enamel, or is that just on the surface of the glass?
It's on the surface. It's not an etching.
Okay.
But couldn't it just be freehand, Larry?
It could be, yes.
Just the way it looks, I would think that there'd be something that Cambridge would have done. So, but I don't know. So that's beautiful. And really striking on the Carrera. It just really pops on there. So, okay. So Tim, are you ready? And I don't know if anybody else. I have some after Tim. I have some photos for Freeman and etc. I don't know if anybody else has glass to show that we haven't gotten to yet. Please let me know. So
Jack, I'd like Greg to show his bowl when he gets a chance.
okay. Is Greg going to show his? Well, first we'll get to Tim first, and then Greg can show his bowl. How's that?
Okay.
All right.
Well, hi, everybody.
You ready?
Les, you had to show your 3.5-inch swan. And this one is a 4.5-inch swan, satin with the black feet and I called it red. And then I heard you call it coral, and by golly, it is more of a coral than it is red. So really difficult piece to find, isn't it?
There's not a lot of them out there, and I think it was a very short production period, probably a couple years. And then I think in the advertisements they called it coral, but it's a British enamel. Yeah.
We picked this up at the convention a year ago, Cambridge Square, with the black enamel top, and it's like a mesh in the center. I would have never dreamt that was a Cambridge Square.
But it's a Charlton decoration.
Yes. Then we have these two pieces, which I think they're the most hideous things that Cambridge ever got involved with. It is a cheese and cracker with this, I call it a Hispanic design, and it is marked. It has the cheese with a different, little different design on the top, but it belongs together. Richie had
that surfaces
Pardon?
every once in a while, that decoration. I have no idea who did it. Do you,
What?
Tim?
Richie Bennett had sitting on a card table one time at convention, come out and visit him, and that was on the table. And I thought it was so darn ugly, I bought it off of him. Then I have this. It came from Rich also. It's on the same table that night. This is jade, and it's been gold encrusted, but it's all worn off there. But the little flowers, there's red and yellow and black flowers in this one. And it's not in the best condition, but it was an example. And then Mike, you said you didn't know what these were. I was told by Rich. No, yeah, was it Rich or was it Rich? Anyway, there was a workers' plate that they made these for the workers. And this is a dinner plate. And then it's strange when I've got two of them. And if you look at this one, the gold on the inside there is a lot wider and broader than what this one is. And the gold on this one is a lot better also. But I understood that these were made for the workers, and that's what I was told one time.
There's a lot of stories on those, Tim. There's the story that there was just 12 of them made, but boy, there's sure been a lot of them on eBay. So I don't know.
I think it was Len Welker that told us that. I know Len's one told me those were worker plates. So yeah, well, that's what I've got to show tonight. So thank you.
Yeah, and on that plate there, I have seen a lot of salad plates too on that.
Really?
Yes. That's what I showed was a salad plate. We do have the dinners, but when I saw the salads came by, and they all originally came out of Lynn one year, and then a bunch of them showed up on eBay one time, one spot. So I don't know. It's a very pretty plate.
Yes, they are. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Tim. Appreciate it. That was beautiful. That I have seen some of that what you call like the Mexican motif too on that plate. I've seen some of those, and they don't look like they were. I don't know if yours is the same, but when I've seen them, they don't look like they were very well done. It was almost like somebody just off the cuff decided they were going to do some hand painting, but maybe I'm wrong on that. Does yours look more like it's pretty professionally done?
Well, I'd say it is. Yeah, they're
Okay.
the lines are neat. I'm not married to this piece at all if somebody likes it.
Okay. Well, thank you very much. Now, is there anybody else that would like to show some glass that we haven't gotten to?
Does Greg have a bowl?
Oh, does Greg have a bowl? Yes, that's right. There's the infamous Greg bowl. Well,
Where'd Greg go?
he's there. He's got to unmute.
There we go.
There we go.
Well, it might look like a bowl from Mike's from Mike's house. It's a sherbet bowl. It's tally-ho. It's interesting. I'd like to know the story behind these, but it's tally-ho with I assume a platinum band and one ring of enamel, and then a very small hairline of enamel underneath that. And I've got a couple of things. They made this. I've seen this around a little bit. This is the sherbet, and I've got the goblet, and I've got a cordial somewhere. And I think they made salad plates and cups and saucers. But I think it's an interesting line. I've never seen what they called it, or when it was produced in the 30s or 40s, when it came out. But it is a nice little dash of enamel there going around it, and silver and blue look really good together.
Greg,
have you identified that first little? You call it the infamous little bowl, but it's not a low sherbet. That's I wonder what that is.
Well, it looks like if I was eating ice cream, I would put about 3 scoops of ice cream in there, It looks like it's got enough room for, but I don't think it's a comport, but it could be. In some people's definition of a comport, it's sort of cupped up rather high to be a comport.
Yeah, but it's I'm just looking in the catalog. I believe it is. It's the 4.5-inch low-footed comport, the number 60. I bet you that's what it is. That's the only thing that has that shape. So,
Interesting thing about platinum, if is platinum, it really does hold up well. I mean, it stays shiny and it doesn't seem to wear too easily.
Hey, Greg, I do know a little bit more about that now that you bring that up. Supposedly there was one big set that was made of that. And I think that Tarzan's got some, I got some, and I see you got some, but I don't know that there was any more other than that one set that came out. I think Tarzan's even got the like the big tally-ho cocktail shaker in it. So I don't know. It's one of those collections like you. I saw it and I said, wow, that's really pretty with the platinum and the blue.
I've got a cordial as well, but there is some chance this was a post, it wasn't done by Cambridge, the decoration. There is some chance it was another company that did that decoration. But it's very pretty. Very pretty, Greg.
They are.
well, thank you for showing that. Okay. Next, I'm going to show some pictures. I'm going to share my screen and show some pictures that from Freeman and Jeannie, which I see are here, so they can comment on their pictures when I bring this up. I want to make sure I do this correctly. Because sometimes I don't share this right. Let's see. Okay, are you seeing? Let's see.
You're seeing your screen, Jack.
What, are you not seeing the ball jug up there?
We see 4 thumbnails.
Really? Huh. Because I show, let's see if, well, let me try this again then. That was strange because I knew I was trying this before. So you're just seeing the thumbnails, right?
Correct.
Huh. I wonder why that's not sharing. I'll be doggone. Okay. Let me go to, no. Larry, you had helped me out on this and I can't remember what I'm doing wrong here.
Jack, I'm not sure what the problem is, but I think if you double click on your thumbnails and make them big and then minimize them, then you should be able to bring them on their desktop and we can see them.
Okay, I did that. Okay, I made them big, I'll minimize them.
Then share screen and then click on them one at a time.
Okay.
There we go.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so Freeman, I'll let you are you there? Can you
we're here.
Would you like to
Everybody. The ball jug is part of the barware line. And it's the red and the black enamel. I like it, and I like the red around the lip. And we had one that was pretty much worn and we sold it and then we found this one, and it's held up through the years. I just don't wash them that much. You don't want to take all the stuff out of it. But Greg, I do have one with a blue ring on it, a tally ho, blue ring to match yours. I also have an orange one. Next picture.
I gotta see if I can get to that one.
Let me see if I can.
There we go. So that's the next one we have.
And it's a syrup. It's really pretty with gold and blue.
So
I
that blue
really
is
like the
enamel too
blues.
as well. It's beautiful.
Next picture. And there's the blue one and the orange one. Tally ho with a plate. Didn't we just acquire those plates? Yeah, we just got those plates. Actually, when I think we were going up to Cambridge. Okay, next one.
Wait a minute. I'm trying to get to the next one. Was there one more? Let's see.
Yeah, one
here.
more.
Yeah, so much for the theory, there was one set.
Yep.
There we go.
That is a pretty set.
Gold's one.
Huh?
Gold is one.
The gold is worn on it, but I think the gold was an afterthought when I was looking at it.
Mhm.
Blue is just gorgeous.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Beautiful. Okay, let's see now if I'm going to screw this up again. Okay. Can you see that? No.
No,
Okay.
can't see anything, Jack.
Okay, let's see if I can did that come out now?
Yes.
Okay. So all right. This is some from Elaine in our collection, and this is the nameplate. And Cambridge sold these, came in a number of different colors, and occasionally you'll find one that has the Cambridge enamel in there, which believe are the ones that they distributed to the sales offices for promotional purposes, and probably to retailers as well. They could put these out and to try to stimulate sales. So, and here is the tally ho, the pressed low sherbet, and this has the kind of, I think that's a silk screen, the black design, if I'm not mistaken. You guys might know more about that than I have. And then of course the red enamel around it. But that's the D1000/8 black enamel decor on there.
And collectors refer to it as just lace.
Lace, right?
Yeah.
Here's a pair of primrose candlesticks, and just has the black enamel line on the base, and then also the black enamel trim around the candle cups too. I think it's nice they had that real little thin black enamel line up on the candle cup below the rim. I thought that was a nice little add. And this is the 1 pound covered candy, and this is etched Egypt, and then it is that green enamel encrusted. And they did a nice job with that. I like the green enameling. Here's the number 206 atomizer. This is a DeVilbiss fitting, and this has a gold and actual yellow enamel base on there, and then it also has a nice gray cutting that was done. Not sure if Cambridge did the cutting or not. I like to think they did, but we really don't know. So, I'm getting out of there. How do I get? Huh. There we go. Okay. This is a primrose vase. This is the 12-inch size. This came in 4 sizes, I think 6, 8, 10, and 12. And then it has green enamel and trim on it as well. It has it on the base, on the top lip, and then they have that again, that little nice little thin accent line part way down. So you've seen that already, so I will go past that one. Here is some more of that Rosalie that has been green enamel encrusted. That's it's really a nice nice touch that they did with that etch. So, and this is a decagon plate. So, and here's a number. These are the 437 candlesticks that with that iris enamel. We all love that. It's such a beautiful. We've seen some really nice Les Add the Ball stem candlesticks, and what else did we see on this? I think the covered candy dish too. So that collectors like that. We like it. Here's an interesting pair. This is the same candlesticks, the 437 9.5-inch candlesticks. These are actually crystal. And they have been teal enamel iridized on them. The top part is on the outside. The base is actually on the bottom on the inside, which is interesting. It was a tremendous effect how they did that. And then those are gold and painted enameling around. And then there's also black enamel trim rings around the base too as well. So really interesting and unique design decorate on there.
Probably not done by Cambridge.
Probably not. Although there is some evidence that they have done that teal iridizing. That's shown up on other things as well, like atomizers, etc. So it's hard to say, but you may be right. And have to show a piece of Japonica. We haven't seen a Carmen piece tonight, so we'll throw that in. And I love that. I love that vase shape with that type of foot on it. How'd we get on to, there we go. Wait a minute. I want to go just to that one. Huh. Okay, there we go. Here's a kind of the 3 candy Scott or whatever, the dog in there. And this is the 3400 relish. And then it's got the red enamel trim on it. What was unique about this is that, and who knows what was going on here, but we bought it. It came with, that's a Cambridge ladle, and it has a red enamel handle on it. We don't know if Cambridge did that, sold it like that, or if it was a marriage or whatever. All we know is we bought it together like that. So thought it was a pretty unique situation there. Okay, what happened here? How do I get, I can't get to my other, my thing disappeared. Oh, there we go. Okay. David had the skier on the decanter is really nice. And then this is one of the tumblers. These are the 9403 tumblers, and these seem to be the ones that Cambridge predominantly decorated. They were not shammed for the most part. They came in 12 and 14 ounce size. This is the 14-ounce size. So that's what they did so much of the decoration on. So, and this, you can see the green trees on this kind of shows up a little better on this picture too. So, okay, how can I get back to, this is interesting how I was doing this, but there we go. I think we already saw this. I think David, you showed this. So, but this is again that same tumbler optic with the polo scene on it. And Mike showed that, so I will go past that, but I love that. That's the only, I was fortunate he allowed me to have one of these in our collection because I thought that was pretty cool. And then the last two things we're going to show is a pair of the 1307 candlesticks and Crown Tuscan. And this has the black enamel trim on it. And I think, Les, did you show the green enamel? I don't remember. Here is one with red enamel on it as well. So, because I think they did black, green, and I believe blue as well, for the four colors, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't recall any blue on Crown.
You don't recall the blue? Okay.
I wouldn't say
thought
it,
I had seen
rule
it,
it
but
out,
might
but
have been
I've
on
never
something
seen it.
else. So just the three colors then, the green, the black, and
As
the
far as
red?
I know, yeah.
Okay. All righty. And that is it. So thank you very much. I'm going to stop. And there we go. Okay. So thank you very much, everybody, for showing us. We've seen a tremendous amount of glass, and to kind of put some closing remarks, David, if you would like to thank you to Les again for his wonderful program to start off. And David, I'll let you finish things up.
Thanks, Jack. Thank you to Les for this program. There's a lot to these enamels. And again, I don't collect enamels either, but it's just one of those things as we start looking through our cases, we do find that we have more than we thought we did. And it's such a broad collecting field. It's just, you get the 1930s, you got the 19-teens, you got the 1920s. So it's just, there's just so many different directions you can go with enamel decorates in Cambridge. And so Les did a great job showing representations from all three of those eras. And thank you again for everyone else who went through their cases, found the glass, and was willing to share it. Mike is exactly right. This stuff is not very easily found. It takes a lot of work, and a lot of time, and a little bit of money to try to put all this glass together, but it sure is beautiful when you get to see the various pieces. Last, I finally, after racking through my brain, the name Dean Warren from California, when he did our show many years ago for the first time, he brought that set of light emerald apple blossom cocktails with the blue and the red enamel in there. And I could not come up with that name, but that was the first time I had ever seen that. And even to this day, I have only ever seen the cocktails. I don't believe I've seen goblets, or I've seen other pieces, but as far as stemware, I believe the cocktail is the only one I've seen up to this point, but I could be wrong. But he, I think, had a dozen of them when he came that first time from California. So maybe those did originate in California, but I have seen Jim and Janice showed the center handled keyhole tray, and I know exactly where they bought that. So some of it did show up here in Ohio at some point, but I know Dean Warren brought several examples of the cocktails when he came. And I don't know, that was early 2000s maybe when he was here last. So I want to put a plug in for next month, September. Mike and Lisa Strebler have graciously volunteered to do a program on Cambridge baskets. Mike and Lisa have collected the 119 baskets and variants thereof with some little offshoots here and there. So they're going to do a great program. And now that they're able to get to their basket cases a lot easier than they used to be, I think it'll be a great program, and they won't have to put up scaffolding in their living room to get the baskets out of the case any longer. So I appreciate Mike and Lisa for stepping up and doing that. So check out your cases. Cambridge made baskets for well over 50 years, or 50 some years they were in production from the near cut era. There's those ebony baskets that Les showed an example of one this evening, and they just made the baskets right up through almost the end of the closing of the company. So there's a lot of different baskets with different decorations, etchings, and colors, silver overlays. So it should be an outstanding program next month, and Mike and Lisa are going to be leading that. So thank you to them. Mike, Jack, that's all I've got this evening. And again, just thank you for everyone. It's great to see. We had 31 cameras at our high point. So that's probably pushing about 50 people on tonight's program. And I'm certain that everyone was pleased with what they learned and saw tonight. All right, Jack, thank you.
All right, thank you, David, and thank you, Les. Thank you, everybody, for participating, for getting on. I think it was just a wonderful program. So at that, we will sign off and see everybody next month. Thank you all.